Yeah. Yay, we're live.
Hey.
Hello. Sorry we're late. There was a little bit of cognitive errors. We started this live for Second Cup of Coffee when we were supposed to be not on here.
We had technical difficulties. We can leave it at that. We had to recreate the stuff.
You know, it's a live show week after week, live. There's no editing.
Woo! Here we are. All right, ladies.
Well, if anybody's wondering what we are, we're moms of real estate. We're here, and Becca.
We like to cover every week marriage, mental health, money, and some other thing that I forget.
Murder.
Motherhood.
Motherhood.
Murder. I don't know why I can remember 3, but not 4. Marriage, mental health, motherhood, and money. Like we do every week, we like to give a little update with what's going on in our lives. We have a special guest today. She'll be on shortly. But before she gets here, why don't we just give a little update? Stephanie Betters?
Okay, update for me. Let me think. So all good things. Been really busy. Got a lot of meetings with Left Main launching, like officially publicly launching about a month ago. There's been a lot of business, a lot of meetings, a lot of just great stuff happening with it. So my schedule has been pretty packed with that. But things are just going really well. I'm just really happy. I feel like I'm in a good place. Motherhood.
How's the motherhood? How's the motherhood?
I was going to say, motherhood wise, like things start feeling really good there too. I feel like my kids are happier. Like, when you just look at them, you're like, okay, I feel like you're relaxed. And I think part of that is having a better routine, like with school, and now we're 4 days a week. And I feel like they're kind of coming into that like new routine with everything, and, getting off the bus and like now transitioning into home life instead of trying to do school from home and like this whole, and they're always getting in trouble because they want to watch technology when they're here and they're trying to do school stuff. So I just feel like they are breathing a sigh of relief too,
And money. How you doing on the money front?
Money side is great. I'm excited because we invested in the syndication with Peely. Woohoo! We closed last week on 94.
You got all of us.
You got all of us. That's right. You're in that deal too. What is it? 94 or 97? I don't even know. Units.
93.
93. There you go. 93 units we bought. So I'm super excited about that investment. We've got another syndication I'm looking at too with Chris and Ariane. They sent me a new deal in Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock.
So that's new to us as far as like the money world goes, doing syndications and doing that. So I'm excited. I'm excited to learn more and see that. And I'm excited for the passive income. Come on in.
Now that all the operators know that you are into passive investing, you're going to get those calls.
Bring it on, baby.
Bring it on. Love it. Peely?
Super excited. Like Stephanie said, we just closed on the large syndication of the Murfreesboro property. We call it the 902. I always want to say 90210, but wrong zip code. So this is in Tennessee. It's an awesome town. And the great thing about this is we just found out, or not just found out, we couldn't find a rental property in some of the towns that we were looking at. So we were like, well, why don't we just kind of expand the search? And we found the perfect house in Murfreesboro. So we're actually going to be living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Hey.
So we're super excited.
Easier. That's awesome.
It makes it easier. I mean, we're going to be right there. And we like our bread and butter when it comes to syndications. We can do it all. Mm-hmm. We would rather not like anything else, but our bread and butter is the asset management. So as you can imagine, being closer to the asset will make it easier to manage. So excited for that. So that's the money part. So money-wise, it's going good. That was our latest big deal. Family-wise and motherhood-wise, we're moving. So you know how much fun that can be. especially when your dogs decide to pee on every single piece of furniture, and I'm just like, you know what? We're just gonna throw it away. Out of the house. I'm just like, Jason, let's just take it out. He's like, well, we have 20 more days. Can we just out? We're easy peasy. Now we don't have to move it. What else? What else did we talk about?
Then you know what happens though? Then you get to your move on the other side and you're like, why did I throw everything out? I don't have any furniture.
Well, the kids have a bunch of beanbag furniture that we can just
Great.
sleep on.
Yeah.
It's fine. So that's marriage too. So Jason and I are working together to pack up the house. We're partners together on the syndication, and that's going really good. We're really meshing. We had a really funny. We had a really funny second cup of coffee today because he's the one that hits all the buttons, and he just happened to hit the mama button. And I'm just like, no, that's the mama button. If you want, we can do Papa's of real estate. But that would be PORE. I guess poor would it be the best?
Probably not.
Right, or is much better.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah. So that's us. So I'm like at a good 9. Probably a little tired. Good 9.
Yeah. I'm gonna match that. I think I feel the same way. Just lose 1 point for sleep. That's it.
Yeah, just need a little bit more sleep. Becca.
Okay, so let's see. 2 weeks ago, I was at a 6. Last week, I think I was at like maybe a 6.5. I think this week I'm at a 7, but with a clear trajectory towards an 8 or 9. So, so let's see. Marriage, and this is marriage. I celebrated my 15-year wedding anniversary yesterday, which is why we went away last week. It was supposed to be just the two of us. That ended up not happening, but that's fine. So 15 years with my awesome husband. Yeah. And we were together for 5 years before that. So like at this point, we now have officially been together longer than we were alive prior to getting together. It's crazy.
That's 20. A milestone, right? Like you've been with him longer than you've been with your mom.
Yeah. That's so true. That's weird.
Wow. That way.
And like a little sidebar, this was my revelation on marriage recently. So we had our quarterly EOS meeting 2 weeks ago. And at the end of it, I was like, that was when I was at a 6 and I was pissed off and burnt out and cranky about a lot of stuff. But my main thing was like, I run accountability groups, right? So like, it's very important to me that you do what you say you're going to do, and that you don't overcommit to stuff, which I do all the time, but it's like a constant life struggle. And so Terry and I were talking after the EOS meeting, and he's like, it must be really hard being married to you, like to live up to your expectations. So of course I call Matt and I tell him about the day, and I'm like, is it hard being married to me? And he's like, no, because I only commit to one thing at a time. And then I don't let it go. He's like, so I don't feel that pressure from you. And I was like, oh, it's so true. It's so annoying because I'll be like, let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go do this. And I'll be like, nope, I am building a wall today. And I will be building this wall for the next 6 weeks, and I'm like, but
see, I need to get your husband on here because that's the mindset I need. I need the like one thing at a time because that's exactly how I am. But I want to just do all the things.
Yeah, exactly. So that's marriage. So mental health, I'm definitely like feeling so much better. I feel like I've got a plan. Money for us, we went through a refinance, so we didn't have a mortgage payment this month. So we went on vacation, we ate out every day, and it was just glorious. It was like a nice little reprieve. It's like when you're on a diet and you have a cheat day. But things are really moving. Like we've got good stuff happening in the money front. And then motherhood is probably part of the reason that's bringing it down, this virtual schooling. Like I'm a COVID magnet. We, like in the past 2 weeks, 6 people around me have gotten COVID different ways. My dad was one of them. He was in the hospital last week. My mom had it. The people we visited last week got it. Arthur got it on Thursday. Jennifer got it on Sunday. I think my daughter got it on Monday because she had a fever and runny nose and headaches. So we're quarantining for 2 weeks. And I'm just realizing like this virtual schooling thing, it just kicks my ass.
I'm telling you, that's the thing. Like it's just too much. It's
too much. This is how I equated it. It's like I got 3 new employees from other departments doing processes I don't know or understand. And the employees themselves are like, don't care, don't want to be there. So now I'm essentially doing all their jobs.
And where's my candy?
And you can't fire them.
Yeah, and you can't fire them. There are no repercussions. Anyway. So that's my update. I'm at a 7, looking to try and move to an 8 over the next week.
The path to an 8 or 9. I see it.
So we have Amanda Martinez in the wings. I'm going to bring her on so she can give us a recap of her day. Who would like to do the intro?
I'll introduce her.
Oh, Stephanie.
Yay! I'm so excited. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
We're so excited to hear that you're here. So, the Midwest Rev, REV. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. You are like the mom boss, and I'm so excited that you can come share your knowledge with us. You work with your husband too.
Yes.
So there's that, there's that dynamic that's always interesting. But yeah, so just kind of come in and let's just chit chat about running a crazy business in the middle of quarantine.
Well, wait, before you give us your introduction, but I think you heard some of us in the background. Our 4 pillars are motherhood, mental health, money, and marriage. Maybe before you launch into who you are and what you are, give us an update of your life in those 4 areas, and then
Perfect.
So motherhood, I'll start there. I have 4 little boys. The newest is 3 weeks old. So yeah, I've gone through, I think when my 3-year-old was born, we had our call center up and running. So that was I think I was literally in the hospital giving birth to him while running a call center. And then this one was a little bit easier, but yeah, so I just had my 4th little boy 3 weeks ago. So it's a transition time for us right now. So that would be motherhood. The oldest are 7 and 5. So we're all just kind of right there with little bitty ones. Money, we're always just trying to make more of it, trying to be smart with the money that we have, right? Just new and inventive ways to make money and to, we're doing some dabbling and investing and things like that. So, always a challenge. Just today went, how much are we budgeting for Christmas presents this year? Because that's something now we're ready to think about and start moving towards. So I know that's a scary. Mental health. Okay, so I'm in a weird place with that. I think we all know that there's a little bit of postpartum blues or baby blues that always come with a new baby. So I've got some of that. And that kind of flows into marriage.
Oh no, did we lose her?
come back.
Come back, Amanda. So while she figures out what's happening, why don't we talk about that? Why don't we talk about postpartum?
There we go.
There she is.
Are you back? Oh, yes.
Sorry.
So we lost
sorry.
you at you have a baby,
Marriage.
a little bit of
We lost you at
postpartum
marriage.
blues.
Yeah. So and I think that flows into marriage where, even when I get that, I've got to kind of just push through mentally because my husband's focus is and needs to be more on the business side of things. So there's that balance too, with when I need him and trying to not ask for too much in my situation when I know he's got a full plate too. So is that kind of what you were looking for?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Yeah, so we own Midwest Revenue Group, sales training company. As I kind of mentioned, we had a call center a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I guess, when Asher was born. And we shut that down. So we've kind of moved out of that. And so that was more of my business focus. And after shutting that down, I moved more into the Midwest Revenue Group sales training in the real estate industry, but we are also kind of branching out to do sales training in other industries. So, I've really had to delegate with all the kids and then, like you said, COVID and having them home, I've really had to delegate more. So the girl we had running our call center, we kind of share in and she really helps out with, just task with the business. So getting her updated on sales training. So she takes sales calls appropriately and more of the maintenance issues and things like that.
That's
so.
Awesome.
Midwest Revenue Group sales training. It's branching out from just real estate investing.
Are you the COO of Midwest Revenue Group? What is your
tell us about how the business is split up between you and your spouse.
So it's different roles, of course. So I handle all of the billing, anything that has to do with that. I try to handle customer service. I try to have our assistant do it. But it kind of has flowed through. Nobody wanted, if they had an issue, they only wanted John. when we started. And then now they've learned, oh, really, Amanda handles. She's the one that really handles anything like that. So then it passed to pass that on to our associate.
I feel like that's really good. Once you've kind of,
I'm good at.
Oh,
go ahead. What was that?
I was just going to say, I think that's a difficult transition, you know, to pass that on to somebody else. And so I'm so glad that you guys have done that. It's amazing.
She had to work alongside me. Yeah, she had to work alongside me, especially for the sales training. She jumped on all of John's calls. So she was trained by him. And then I would do, you know, when I'd call somebody or whatever, I'd record the calls and let her hear them. We'd do 3-way calls. And so her transition has been more working side by side with me to get that going. And it's worked really well.
How long do you think that took you?
She's been with us for 3 years. So she's been with us 3 years and we've been in business for 5 years. So she's, you know, she was kind of there towards the beginning. But I would say in terms of her taking sales calls, for instance, I would say probably a good 2 to 3 months of really that being a focus. And she's got that down. John's always been good at repetitive questions that come up. We create FAQs for, and he's done that for all of his businesses. So as she got questions on the phone she wasn't familiar with, we just set her up with FAQs so she could answer those. But for the most part now, she's got everything covered on that end. She handles all of our video editing. So sends it off, gets it edited, gets it back, gets stuff posted on our social media. She's a lot younger than us, so she's awesome at social media. So I would say, you know, every bit of the 3 years to learn everything, but really like the sales trainer, if we've got one focus, she can pick it up in a month or two for that, working alongside us.
It's amazing. Your I guess journey sounds really familiar. I don't know. With you ladies, I was pregnant when we got into real estate. During my second, I was actually negotiating a contract, right? Like a few hours after my daughter was born. I think the third was the easiest, but I had waited until maybe about 45 minutes until he actually popped out. I happened to be at the hospital, which is great. So real estate has kind of shaped and shifted with your life. Tell me about like the mental mindset that it takes to basically be pregnant or with a small child while you're building an empire, while you're building your business.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, like I said, it has to be a team effort. I definitely couldn't do anything like that with, you know, myself. And this last one was the easiest because of the transition and because of where we're at in our life now. Is I have a nanny that's here. She's with my other kids right now, and she's got the baby right now. So we were allowed to come home this time and me be mom when I needed to, or hand my kids off to do what I need to do. And then John feels, you know, I've got the kids with a new baby, so he can pull some more weight. But it's tough mentally because I do feel like, you know, you've only got so many hands to juggle with, right? So there's times when I feel like things are not going like I want, but I don't have the time and effort to put into it. So it's kind of, you know, you do the best with what you can with what you have. So mentally it's tough. I feel like I should be doing more all the time.
How do you battle that? How do you battle that more? Because I find myself battling that all the time.
I mean, I have days where I get really, really frustrated and just want to throw my hands up and just think like, you know, I'm going to quit. And then I focus on what I'm working on and, you know, try to pull in some help where I can and just kind of get through it. But I have really rough days. I really do, where like, I can't do all this. I can't do this. And I feel like I'm doing it by myself when I'm not. So it's definitely a challenge.
I think it's good to have those like outbursts, right? You know, like we all have those. I have those.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, like once a week, if not more. Yeah. I'm just like, I can't do it. And you like freak out and they're like, okay, I feel better. I'll find a way to do it, you know. Yeah.
Mom's really serious.
To someone this morning, and we were talking about like where you're at mentally, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm at like a 6 or 7. And they were like, but there's so much opportunity in being at a 6. Like You can go up from there. If you're at a 9, it's not realistic that you're going to go up.
Yeah, I like
That's a
that.
good way to look at it.
And I just think it's kind of the curse of the entrepreneur. Like, there's always so much more. You know, I've talked about this a lot. Like, I feel like I'm addicted to opportunity, and I can never possibly do all capitalize on all the opportunity. I physically can't do it. Emotionally can't do it. And then that always leaves me feeling like a little bit of a debt. Like, oh, I should be, or I should be doing this, or I could be doing this, right? But like the reality is, you're doing an incredible amount already.
Yeah.
And I think you just always feel that because now you see opportunity like you've never seen it before, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and my husband's definitely more risk tolerant than me. He's more of the entrepreneurial side than I am. And so, you know, he's way more risk tolerant. So I've moved on the spectrum for sure. I've become more risk tolerant, but I think that's another one of my big roles is kind of being in the background and him bringing things to me. Ooh, let's try this. Ooh, let's do this. And me going, take the risk versus reward, you know, and then give my opinion on that. Yeah, exactly. Rein him in on some of it. You know, I want him to do everything he wants to, but I'm like, ooh, we get a cow.
Yeah, that's really, it's funny because I think we all kind of have a balance. I mean, in the relationship, there's always this balance.
Yeah.
My husband is that the anchor.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is on the past couple of years of this journey, and I'd be interested if you feel this way with John too, like what my husband sees is that it's imperative for him to rein me in, because what happens is when he gives me too much lead and I do too many things, it is very bad for my mental space. Like I end up, like Stephanie said, always feeling like I'm running at a deficit. The artificial expectations, I can never keep up with them. And they're my expectations. They're not even anybody else's. So like,
right.
I mean, I think it's so important to have you in the relationship. I don't know if you've noticed that with him. Like if you let him go too much, does it?
It's too much. He's overwhelmed. He's unhappy. He's, you know, he's stressed and depressed, and and there's no reason to do that. Like I understand, just because I've done this long enough with him, I understand his drive and like you, his want to do more. The sky's the limit. But at the same time, I do the calculated risk of, is it worth your mental status, your mental health for it?
Mental health, like when you come in and you're angry and you're short-tempered and you don't have time for your kids, like whatever you want to do right now, is it worth it?
Right. Yeah.
We were actually just talking about this in the beginning, how like for me, I'm that one thing at a time person, because if I don't do one thing at a time, I'm not a good multitasker. If I don't do one thing at a time, then I usually fail, or I'm just really unhappy. I might get it done, but I just like everything just kind of like bombards me at the same time. So as an anchor, because I feel like in a different way, I'm an anchor for my husband. How do you balance it? How do you balance the marriage with the postpartum? Because you mentioned that you said, you know, that your husband has all these things that he has on his plate now, that you're taking your time to recuperate.
You said something. You said you try not to ask for too much.
Yes.
And I wrote that down. I thought that was a really interesting phrasing. I don't know. It kind of made me sad, honestly.
It made me sad too, because I thought the same way.
Me too.
Yeah, like you're out there, you're making the money, you're traveling for business, you're doing all this, and I'm home spending the money. But yeah, do I say, I know you're over there working on your Facebook ads, but can you hold the baby so I can give the other 3 a shower? But I don't want to ask you to hold him because, you know, I've got, you're working, you're busy. So, and he needs a break sometimes too. So then, you know, last night, for instance, I've got all 4 little boys with shower time. We're doing all that. And he's in the office. He must have been charging his laptop because he didn't have that. So he's in there watching.
Oh no.
Where this is going.
And face boiling and just like, I just kept walking past. Like, is he going to say anything? Is he going to do anything? Is he going to help me at all? But then I have to step back and be like, you know, he's been working.
Yeah. Yep. He's been working. It's the same
break. So again, that's where that am I guilty for being like, get up and help me? Or do I just let it go? And I let it go last night, and I did fine without him. So it's that balance. I can do it, and sometimes I do, and then I think sometimes it's like, get in here and help. But there is some resentment that goes with it for sure.
I think that's what I have to be careful about, is that resentment, because that, like, it infiltrates your head. You don't mean to.
It eats at you.
Yes. And the thing is, that's where the communication comes in. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that eating away? Because postpartum, you have that on top of that. Mm-hmm. If you don't communicate, how do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think I've really talked to him about postpartum, because he's a guy. I'm not sure he really understands. And again, I'm fortunate that we have a nanny. So I think in his mind, it's probably, hey, everything's easy for you. You've got help. But I have some.
This is, I don't know if she'll hear
as well. So it's.
Amanda, you're breaking up at the really good parts.
I know. It's like the suspense is killing me. So I was talking to someone yesterday about this, boundaries. Boundaries is like the word of the week right now, which I'm excited when Amanda comes back to talk about it. But the person I was talking to, he said something really phenomenal, I thought. He said that went countercultural to what I normally think, was that he said, my priorities are intact, but my boundaries aren't. And that's weird, because for me, I always think like your priorities, you vote with your time. So your priorities are wherever you give your time to. So if you say your family's a priority, but you're not voting with your time to spend it with your family, then it's not. But I liked what he said. He's like, no, my priorities are intact. I know what's important. Oh, there you are. But he said, but my boundaries suck. And I'm really terrible at like putting up the boundaries, and that's what I have to focus on.
There it goes. Yeah, I think this is working.
Did we get you back?
Oh, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Working from home, wireless internet.
Yes. So Becca was just talking about boundaries and sort of what you were saying. We lost all the goodness that you were just talking about. So Becca, I'm going to let you take it away.
Oh yeah, Amanda, I was just saying that the word of the week in my world has been boundaries, because I had we had our EOS quarterly with our leadership team, and then I came back and did it with my department on Tuesday. And I started and I said, like, what's working, what's not working right now? They're like, I think we're a great team. We got a great product. We're doing good stuff. I have no boundaries, like that across the board. Like, I'm on my Facebook 24/7. I'm answering emails 24/7. My family is starting to resent me. It's, building up. And this led into a conversation with someone else. And I was just telling these ladies that I tend to believe that, like, your priorities are your priorities, and whatever you say doesn't matter. You vote with your time. So if you say my family's a priority, but then this is to me specifically, then I'm on Facebook all the time instead of spending time with them, then I'm not showing them my priorities. But the person I was talking to yesterday, he said, no, my priorities are intact. I know what's most important, but what is not intact are my boundaries. Like, I'm not enforcing my boundaries around my priorities.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like everybody kind of feels that way.
I feel like I relate so much to that, because I have a huge problem with boundaries. I want to be available for anybody all the time, right? Like I people pleaser too, and I love to like make people happy, and then I end up putting my family second. I'm like, crap.
Yeah.
Well, and as business owners, that is one thing that separates your business or my business from someone else's, the customer service, the responses we get when my employee, now she works virtually and kind of has her own hours and she's got a pretty good gig, but when she'll respond to somebody on a Sunday in 10 minutes and they respond and go, oh my gosh, so to be available all the time is good business, that's what we're going for. And that's a drive behind all of us. So
yeah,
it feeds into it.
I've had to have help with a buffer. Like I physically cannot maintain a boundary by myself, because I just will like give it to everybody. So like I physically need a buffer. So having to like hire that like has been
helpful. You hired a personal assistant.
Yeah.
You hired a buffer.
Her first week is this week. She's in the other room doing something. She's awesome. So good. It's a little boundary. It's amazing.
You have a
Yeah.
human boundary.
Yeah. And the same thing with like the company. Like the boundary was the phone. You know, when we first started our real estate investment company, like we had to answer the phone at any given time. And like I wanted to answer that phone, regardless if I'm in the middle of bath time with my kids, the phone's ringing. Like I need to answer. I need to be available. And then like you put a little boundary in place with like lead intake to answer. And then like now there's a little buffer between you and like the next level. And that changes everything.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things that separates us from whoever else. I don't know if that's even a really real thing. Anywho, we've all built companies while having small children or being pregnant. And we've had to balance those boundaries that all other entrepreneurs have to do. They have to go through that. I want to do it myself right now.
Right.
But with mothers, it's even like, I think it's a little bit more because now we have the mom guilt on that. Now we have the, I'm going to hire a nanny, but I want to be the one that's playing with my kids. I want to be the one that's there. That's why I know at this point in my life, I need to hire, once we get to Tennessee, that personal assistant. Yeah, that's coming into my life as soon as we move.
Yeah.
I think what you said, Amanda, too, about like wanting to self-contain it. Like, I don't want to ask too much. I want to contain it all. I want to like be everything. Like, you got to pick your battles too, because you just physically can't, you know. But then I understand working with your spouse. There's like somebody needs a break at a certain given time. Like if there's no boundaries, and you're working together, and it's work all the time and family all the time. Like it's so hard to have like somebody's got to give somewhere, and somebody needs a break sometimes too. And it's hard.
So as mothers and wives, when do we stop being so understanding?
I think it's a life journey. I think you go through times of not being understanding to times of being like, depending on where your emotional bucket is.
Yeah.
Like in your energy level.
Yeah.
So I think we're coming up here on a few minutes left on this podcast. But Amanda, you guys have been on this journey, you said 7 years? 5 years?
We're a little over 5. Yeah.
What are some lessons that you've learned being you're kind of the integrator to John's visionary from your perspective? What are some of the lessons you've learned that you want to share with other people and going through this?
I mean, definitely as you're building, you need to be, build it so that others can do your roles, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a pretty good job. I wish we would have started earlier on, but doing a good job of notating everything, the how-tos and kind of creating binders, if you will, as you go, or training manuals, or however you want to do it. Even if it's the simplest things, start building those early on, because at some point others will have to take it over. From Facebook marketing, John's a genius at Facebook marketing, but he's the only one that can do it because he didn't really create anything on the way. And things with, luckily, my assistant, when we got to that point, we were creating things and she's helped us create manuals, but definitely from the get-go, start documenting and even if it needs to be redone later, document what you're doing and how you're doing it so others can ultimately take over if need be.
I love it.
That's great.
What was that? Sorry, my phone, my
Stephanie, we
computer's
lost you.
glitching.
Did I glitch?
Yeah.
I said because that's the end game, right? Is for somebody else to help you, not to do all the things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's hard to do it, if you wait and you go, oh, well, now we've got 3 years worth of stuff. How are we ever going to teach somebody? So,
yeah.
It's tough.
My new favorite thing is Loom, which does things that, that records like your screen share in a video. I found myself lately making I try to keep them 3 minutes or less because that's my attention span of every little thing. Here's how you update the website. Here, you can click on this. Here's our color palette. Here's this. Just put it in there.
Yeah. Because then ultimately someone can come along and, would be time consuming, but they can go through and watch them all and organize them. You don't even have to organize. Just get the recordings done,
Yeah. Such a good idea.
Yeah.
Any other last words of advice? for people who might be embarking on the journey that you've just been on for 5 years?
Just be ready for the ride. I mean, again, I think it's delegate where you can, try to stay positive. Everything, like you said, you might be a 6 one day, which means there's a lot of room to go up. You may be a 10 one day and know you're going back down. So, I think just being mindful and, having support systems, I think is huge when we're all trying to do it all.
So good.
Peely, are you muted?
Yeah, I am. I'm muted. My children were screaming outside the doors, and you know me, I always forget to turn it back on. I was saying, thank you so much, Amanda. You have given us. It's just, for me, it is so nice to hear other mamas, and we have all like kind of similar stories, especially if we have the littles, to just like commiserate's the wrong word. Connect.
Yeah.
Little commiserate.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Becca, you want to take us out?
Sure. Amanda, I'm so excited you came out. Midwest Rev has just probably changed all of our businesses for the better. So maybe Peely, you can drop the link to how people can find out more about them, but they do sales training. And do you do sales management as well?
So we have the really great online academy that's Lifetime Unlimited. We're actually, and this would be great for all of you guys, we just are finishing a certification process. So I don't think he's got that out yet, but I know the requirements and everything are on there. So people will be able to get certified. Your acquisition agents can certify. So that's exciting coming for the sales training. We have a boot camp coming up, which will teach the same stuff. And I believe you can get certified after the boot camp as well. So both
and the
of
boot
those,
camps are awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be in January. So, I mean, we're hoping everything's good with COVID. If not, we'll definitely have other options, virtual and things like that we'll have available. But yeah, boot camp coming up. They're awesome. Tons of great investors come in. So I always think of it like a potential little mini mastermind for people too. So those are always fun.
And I'll definitely drop the link and I want to mention this. I'm sure all of us have used John's and yours sales training.
I have a T-shirt that says "Don't you John Martinez me."
Yeah, I mean it's great stuff. Like I said,
I don't know if that's weird that I sometimes wear your husband's name around on a shirt, but
doesn't bother me at all. I think it's funny. So yeah.
But I have to say before we end, like, just thank you guys for the awesome work that you do. Like, you have made an impact on the industry, let alone companies. Like, you have made a physical, huge impact on the real estate investment industry, and you're doing just phenomenal things. And I couldn't respect you both more. Like, I know it's a lot. You're raising your family, you're trying to build something, and you're making an impact. It's like a big deal. But like, I'm just so grateful for the things that you're doing, and just know that like those tough days, like, you're affecting so many amazing lives. And other people's businesses, and it's like there's a huge ripple effect. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Sorry I was a little late. I'm doing kids' lunches and virtual learning.
That's what this is for. This is moms of real estate.
Yeah.
We do all the mom things first, and then we do the real estate things.
Awesome. Yep. Well, thanks so much for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And next week we will.
We'll have somebody else.
In typical mom fashion, we will figure it out when it needs to be figured out.
I love it.